Wow. Welcome, everybody, to the Lynn and Scott and Friends show, as we all see it. Lynn Serrano, Scott Jones, and, of course, with our friends and our cast that's almost always with us, Rex Sykes, Scott Schilling, and, of course, Barry Selby. And we never know who else is going to jump in and join us at any time. But thank you for being here and being a part of the show. I'm going to apologize. My voice is going to go in and out, and I may cough a few times because I've got a chest congestion. But I do want to say, make sure that you share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and we do this so we can spread the word about just good programming and good podcasting. And there's a lot of crap out there. We all know that. There's a lot of people just get a camera, they say what they want to say, they spread bad information. We're trying to right the ship. So please be a part of what we do, and leave your comments because we do read them, even if you're watching a rerun. All right. Again, thanks everybody for being here on Tuesday. Rex is joining us from a restaurant, going above and beyond to join us here, and we're going to give him the floor first because he may have to cut away because he's with friends.
He's got some friends there.
But what we're talking about this week is, what are you waiting for? And very quickly, I'll tell you, this came to me because my fellow podcaster Therese, her brother, took ill, had emergency surgery. He's still kind of touch and go, but he's a young man with a lot of life ahead of him. But there's still things that, what are you waiting for? We don't know when we're going to run out of time. There's no guarantees. If you have an opportunity to do something today, do it today. If you have an opportunity to be happy today. Stop waiting for something else to happen. I have another friend of mine who works with addicts and alcoholics and has dedicated his life to these people, and now he's got 6 months left to live from cancer. And there's so many. He's got a list, just like we all do. Stop making lists and start doing things. That's what I'm trying to tell people. But you know what? You guys do what you want with this. What are you waiting for? Rex, I want to let you take it away so that you are freed up for the evening, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm here with a couple of friends at a restaurant in Los Angeles, and I'm going to say something about them in a minute. But it's kind of like, if you're not thinking positive, what's the alternative? And if you're not doing what you want to be doing, what's the alternative? We've said it before on the show that your destination is fantastic, but if you don't get to the destination or you pass away before you could get there, the journey is what counts. So what are you waiting for? It's right now. Each step that you take towards your destination, toward your passion, toward the things that you love, toward the people that you love, toward the world that you want to create for yourself, that's the most important, because now is the only time you got. When you have somebody, a loved one, a friend who is close to not being here for whatever reason, it's a good enough reminder for all of us to just say, you know what, if I want to get it done, I need to start it now. I can't wait, because tomorrow it might be too late. So, I will say this, and this is the caveat, is people do exactly what they want to do and no more. So if they're not moving towards it, it's because they don't want to really move towards it. They've got something stopping them, holding them back, whatever. They'll say, oh, I'm sabotaging myself, which is BS. They're just not doing, it's just not driving them enough. They're not inspired enough. Muhammad Ali said, I want to be a champion boxer, so I go out and train every day, even though I don't even feel like it. I don't even want to train. I hate training, but I do it so that I can be the champion that, that the world got to know him as. So the same thing is true. If you're not moving toward your goals, the only thing that's stopping, or the only thing that's holding you back, you can have all the reasons, all the excuses. You can say it's that person, this thing, the bank, the God, the government, whatever. But truly, it's just that you don't want it enough to get out of your comfort zone and take the steps towards it. I mean, it may be tough love, but what else is there?
Rex, isn't there also a complacency of time, though, that sometimes that we all fall into? There's always going to be tomorrow. I can always do it next week. It doesn't mean we don't want to do it. It's just that we kind of plan things out and don't think about the fact that what if I'm not here tomorrow? I mean, I don't want to be fatalistic, but we do have to be cognizant of that. Today is the only thing you can guarantee, right?
Well, I mean, you have to consider that the sun always rises until it doesn't. There will be a last sunset, a last sunrise for all of us. And some will know in advance because they'll end up in hospice or have the luxury, if you want to consider it that way, of knowing that they're going. And other people will just evaporate. They'll, something will happen, a physical thing. It might be an accident. But so you can't take anything for granted, although you should to some extent. You should assume you're going to be here, but then fill those minutes with the things that you want to do so that your life while you're here is the kind of life you want to live. And then if you inadvertently go, or you go, 50 years later, you've had a great time. I mean, the whole point is how are you using your time? And if you're not using it to love more yourself and others and have a marvelous experience, what are you using it for? To complain and to whine and to snivel and to not do the things that you want to do? And believe me, I know, because I've done all that. No, I'm serious. I don't know that.
Absolutely. And the most important thing is, obviously, I'm just going to throw it out here. The most important thing you can do with any moment of your time is to share how you feel about people. And that's something you should never put off. Anytime the opportunity's there, make sure you do that. But, of course, the other things, too. Rex, you're always on point. I appreciate it, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to flip the camera out. I don't know if I get these guys to say hi or not. Hey, you at the bar, say hello. I don't know even if they can see you. Say hi.
I said hi.
Oh, he said hi. Oh, you did
Rex,
hi.
Rex, tell us who we're talking to here.
Oh, he's some guy I met on a bus stop, like 50 years ago.
Should I show that clip? Should I show that clip,
you
Rex?
Can show it. You can show
Okay.
it. So my point is, it's good to know.
Yeah, I'm here with Steve Sykes, otherwise known as Rex Sykes. We were in acting class together in the
Early
70s. I made it, he didn't. What? Who said that?
Oh, you know him as Scott Baldwin from General Hospital. Hey, a third Scott.
That's right. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Not cubed.
So, and we're here with David and stuff. I just got into town today, and I've got a number of days here. I'm getting my award on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm here. I want to hook up with Barry and anybody else that's around. I've got back-to-back, meetings with friends and stuff that's going on. But so it's a tight time, but it's great. I look at Barry. We're gonna figure out a way to intersect somewhere, and everybody have a great rest of the show. I'm going to go so I can spend time with
Yes.
you.
And thanks, Scott, for saying hi earlier. And thanks for making time, as always, on Tuesday for us. We love and appreciate you.
He acts tough, but he's really a pussycat.
Yeah, and I hope everybody honors you the way you should be, because I love you so much, and you should be honored. And we love you here. We love you.
And thanks for sharing with us. Thanks for sharing with us, and not only sharing, but you're right now demonstrating what we're talking about.
Yep.
Spending time with people that you care about. What are you waiting for?
Yep.
You do it when you have the opportunity, right, Rex?
And I'm spending time with you guys too.
We love and appreciate you.
Appreciate
Well,
that.
of course.
It goes both ways. I mean, I'm here with my friends.
That's right.
Remote.
That's right, because we have you under contract.
That's right. Forever and ever. Love you, Rex.
Love you, Rex.
Love you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Rex.
Out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So what's so interesting about this topic, and Lynn, I put it in the private chat because I couldn't get it in the comments, but literally yesterday morning as I was going to the gym for King and Country's What Are We Waiting For came on. And I so listened to the words. It was so amazing. And I've heard the song many times, but I don't know that I ever stopped down and really listened to the words. And so I put the YouTube link to it there for anybody who wants to see it or experience it. But it really, like I say, it's funny because I came up and I went, did I talk to anybody about this? No. And I even at a stoplight texted myself the name of the song to make sure that I made a point of it, because I want to do a what now wisdom with it. I want to do one of my 1.5 lessons on it, on this exact topic. What are we waiting for? Because I had a friend pass of ALS way too young. And of something so hideous, last week. And, you just start to think of the different things. And this weekend probably had one of the greatest days ever in our backyard, hanging with my wife and my daughter, doing not a dang thing except watching her dog and our dog play and just spending time and having conversations about everything and anything over the last 28 years that Peggy and I have been together. Jordan was about 5 years old when we were married. So, it was just one of those really, really cool experiences. And we sat there, and she even said, she said, "You know what I've really noticed since you've gotten your hips done?" And I said, "What's that?" She said, "The joy between you two."
Oh,
Oh,
that's awesome.
wow.
That was really cool.
That is so cool. I'm gonna have to spend some time with this song, Scott. I just looked it up. I've never heard it before.
Just look at the lyrics. They're just fabulous.
I just posted it. Thanks for posting that.
Well, it's so, because I literally texted to myself when I stopped at a red light, because I wanted to remember to look it up and do a lesson on it and whatever, because it was so profound, from that side. So great topic, but I agree with you. Why are we, what you learn, and we talk about it because we're all of similar ages. Some are younger, you two young pup hosts, Wait
a minute. I used to sell cars, and what I understand, it's not the age of the car, it's the mileage.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Your liver might be 430, but but the point is that you do start to really recognize what's important, and it's not all the other junk. It's the recalling the good times and living more good times and having more of that.
It's the filter, it's the stuff we filter in between the things that are important, and we clutter our minds and our things with so many things that are fluff and junk until we find the meat and potatoes. You find the junk food and you realize you need the protein, not the junk food, to survive. It's that kind of thing.
And you can see how serious John took this. He bought a whole new office.
I know.
He's so well lit.
Totally well lit. Bought a new office, got new lights.
What I did is I moved to another room, and then I went.
We love the lighting. I mean, there's plenty.
Being in the basement.
So then I went over here, and there's not enough light. I swear to God,
you're a superstar. You got a lot of voice on you.
That's good right there, John.
Yeah,
Don't
right
muted
there.
yourself.
That's a good spot right there.
I can't hear you.
John went and bought a whole new house.
That's right.
But the mortgage, he mortgaged himself.
He said, "I'm not waiting any longer. The mortgage rates are going up. I am going to take care of this now."
So nobody else is buying a mortgage. I might as well. No.
Did you bring the family, or is it just you, John?
I think it's just me. I'm not sure where everyone's in.
Well, hey, as long as you're working from a comfy position, John, why don't you talk to us about what are we waiting for when it comes to doing things? Why are we putting everything off? And, shouldn't we be happy today? Stop waiting, right?
And it's funny you said that. I had a gentleman on this morning on my team meeting, and I know that Lynn knows him very well, and he's been out with Debbie. And I just got off that call with Ryan Serhan, the monthly call we have with Ryan with the mortgage thing. I do mortgages, in case you didn't know. But both of them, it's funny. I know, shocker. It's funny when the theme carries through to this morning, to Ryan at 5, to here at 6, and it's all the same. And I brought that up this morning, and I said the funny thing is if this was one person telling you this, to take advantage of the time you have, don't wait another day, do all this. Okay, that was it this morning. And then Ryan brought it up at 5, and then you guys are bringing it up at 6. So to me, what I told my team this morning is it's pretty much destiny. It's pretty much if you get 3 people telling you this in one day within a 12-hour time frame, it works. It's not like one company selling you widgets. It's 3 different people telling you this works, man. It's the manifestation. It's being positive. It's putting people in front of you. And it was just so interesting that when this was the theme tonight, it carried on literally for the last 12 hours. So it works. So take advantage of it, or you're going to wait for the next train.
What was the old guy? What was the guy who used to say that everything I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten? Who was the guy who did that?
Oh God.
Was that Garrison Keillor? That wasn't him.
Garrison.
No, Garrison Keillor did some other stuff. He did the Lake Wobego, whatever it was.
Somebody that's watching can Google that first.
But there was an old book. Everything I needed to learn, I learned. Everything I needed to learn, I learned in kindergarten.
No.
And the truth is, it's like we know all this stuff. This stuff is stuff we just know.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to do what's in front of you right now than to put it off. And it's this and it's that. And if you want to be happy, it's up to you to make yourself happy. But we keep changing the rules, especially when we're in relationships. That's when the rules really start to change, right, Barry? That's where, I want to get things done, but I'm going to wait for you to do your stuff first, right?
Well, how many times do you have to hear a quote and realize, oh, that's what that quote means? It's the same thing like that. You could even say the quote so many times until you realize, oh, now I know what that means.
Oh, it's Lynn, it's so bad. I write shit and then I look at it 5 years later and I finally figure out what I meant.
Yeah.
So I don't even.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you say, Barry?
In the context of relationships, there's so much I could say, but I'll keep
it.
No,
the whole.
Take it anywhere you want to take it. Take it anywhere you want to take it.
Well, I want to flip it the other way for a second, which is one of my favorite quotes from Richard Bach from Illusions, which is, there's a way to find out if your mission on Earth is finished. If you're still here, it isn't. So the point is, if you're alive, there's stuff to do. So if you're putting your feet up and saying, I'm done. I mean, retirement for me is a joke. And I know some people have worked really hard and want to retire. I don't mean it that way. I mean, the fact if you say I'm done and you're not going to do anything, they say that basically when men retire, they intend to die within 5 years. If they don't have something to keep driving them forward, doing something, a hobby, a passion, a service, something like that. So if you're going to, for those of the who are above our age, I'll say it that way, when you think about putting their feet up, I'd recommend you keep doing active, do something, whether it's in partnership with if you're in a relationship or with your kids or with service, something like that, because the activity keeps you thriving, keeps you alive, because if we give up hope, give up life. So that's one thing. Second piece I'll talk about, though, in terms of relationship is that I've had this conversation with a couple of clients and also some friends, and I've seen some posts about it over the last couple of weeks about how people, when they get past a certain age, think it's no longer possible to date anybody. They're like their partner passed away. Because I contribute to a widowers group on Facebook, which is like 12,000, 13,000 people, and often posts show up where they say, my significant other passed away. I don't know what to do now. I don't feel like I can be with anybody. Something like that. And my dad went through it. My mum passed away. He gave up life after she passed away. And the thing is, what I want to say is that there's never too late, because if you really want to be in love, you want to be loved, you want to have a partner, you can have one. And the thing is that we oftentimes think that there's an age stage for certain things to happen, like find the right career, find the right relationship, have kids. Well, some things are biologically required, but everything else is free ball. It's free form. You can do what you want. And so the idea of being that is too late and you don't do it is wrong. But also, what are you waiting for means don't be so complacent you don't do anything at all. So I'm definitely on the same page about keeping moving forward. I have. I'm right now in the process of writing a chapter for another book. I wrote my first book 10 years ago. That was never planned. That came through. But then I also was a collaborative author for a book that came out in 2018. And we're doing volume 2 next month. And I'm writing the chapter. I'm also doing the production for the book, but writing another chapter. And when I first got it, I was supposed to start writing it back in October. And I was just like putting it off. And now I'm like, no, I can't put it off any longer. One, I set the deadline. So I've got to get up on it. But secondly, now I'm in the process of writing it. I'm getting excited because it's making sense. There's content that's going to help people's lives. And so oftentimes when we have projects to do that change people's lives or to add value, we think we'll get round to it. But if we start remembering who that's going to impact in a positive way, that should motivate you faster.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up, because I wanted to bring this up to everybody, a question for everybody. We spend a lot of time on this show talking about, well, this is what we think and this is what we do or what we feel or whatever. But it's not always easy to give people actionable intel, because some people might be listening saying, yeah, that's easy for you. But I have a problem with motivation. I have a problem with this. I have a problem with that. So let's see if we can just give somebody something actionable. What are some good practices people can develop so that they can be a little bit more mindful about doing what they can in the day? Maybe even things like, for me, it's limiting TV time. And, if you want to write, then you commit to one sentence a day and you're a writer. It doesn't mean you're a prolific writer. you know, but
Well,
one sentence a day, and you're right.
Respond to that. Yeah.
It's about creating little habits and we need to do that. Like Muhammad Ali said, I didn't want to do it every day, but I forced myself, and he had to create that habit. So if any of you guys can give some tips on maybe some experiences you've had where you've tried to build better disciplines in doing things, or just better habits altogether, so that you're not pushing everything off. Go ahead.
Or Scott, just say, I just want to throw it out there real quick, or just say challenging yourself or going outside the box, because maybe those are the things that you know, people are not seeing is, you know, instead of, like you said, maybe they say, hey, I can't see myself doing that, or, you know, go ahead,
so
Barry.
Let me start simpler than that.
Okay.
When I was in grad school, we did a lot of big practical experiential type things, and one activity we had was this game we played with a thing called a ring toss. Like, we know the fairground, you have like these pegs and you throw rings over them to try and get prizes. Well, they set something up in the classroom where they set up lines across the floor, like 3 foot like tape lines across the stage from 0 up to 36 foot, something like that. And then they said, okay, before we did anything, they said, okay, we're going to have you guess, because you're still figuring out, okay, each number of feet is number of points. So 3 foot is 3 points, 30 feet is 30 points. What's the best place to aim to get the most points? People say, like, oh, 30 feet, because that'll be 30 points.
Yeah.
And it's like, we find out, this is the thing, is when you start setting it up and you have the whole thing set in front of you, you put these these pins, they're on like little crosses, so you can stand them up and they're like this tall. You put them on the floor in front of you, and then you start throwing out. So they start saying, okay, you said you're going to say 10 feet, 9 feet. Okay, put one out there, throw it out, see if you get it in there. Most people couldn't get them on the pen at more than 9 feet. And it's on occasion they could. But when you put it at 3 foot, you could lean forward and drop it on there. It's so easy. And that became an epiphany for a lot of people in the room, including me included, was the fact is, what we often do, we set up what we need to do, it's being so far out there because we'll be big successful when we do it, but not when it's take the baby step in front.
Well, right.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. The thing is, when we do the short step, then it's like, first of all, you get it done easily. So you have a victory. So, check that mark off your list. The second thing is, you start getting encouraged to take more of those steps, because when you encourage yourself, it's like, oh, I can do another one now. It makes it easier. The third thing is, when you start doing that, you might discover that your path changes because you now see differently from what you did when you started. So taking those steps, yes, what's in front of you is a great idea. But that's the other part, is we don't always look at things we want to do and break it down into bite-sized pieces. It's like, how do you an elephant, one bite at a time? Breaking everything down to a simple piece is a great way of doing it. And I've learned, like with the chapter, I started writing out things like as like bullet points first, just to get my ideas out of my head onto some form to write from, then expand a couple of them. I'll now go find some quotes that inspired me too. So the chapter comes together without me going, okay, from the first paragraph to the last paragraph. No. So everything you do in life, you can build from where you are and do step by step. So that's one piece of it.
I like that a lot. It's about not about just jumping in and taking the action, but your perception of that action and what each piece of that is. I like that a lot. And who would have known that our friend Barry went to carnival school? I mean, that's so cool.
That's what I used to do.
Great school.
That's what I wanted to do.
A Coke can like nothing.
That's what I did when I wanted to start running. I used to go to Onondaga Park, and I used to go run as far as I could go. But then I would say, okay, I'm going to go past this one tree, or by the pool, or by this, by the gazebo. And I would just mentally do that. And by the time I'd get there, I'd go, but you know what? I can still go. And I'd push myself and I'd push myself. And I technically never stopped, but I gave my mind the permission that if I get there, I can actually stop. And then I'd make it right past my car. And then I say, okay, let's just go one more time. And, next thing I know, I just did 2 miles around, so, like you said, but you just got to challenge the mind and realize you achieve something every day, just something to say, I moved the needle. And I saw my doctor, I think it's been a month ago, and I told him I wanted to start doing fasting because I have pre-diabetic. And he's like, can I do 2-day fasting? I was like, just maybe 1 day, blah, 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 blah. And so, he gave me permission, and I started doing protein stuff and whatever. And I've already lost 15 pounds in like almost 4 weeks, but I keep saying it's not fast enough for me. But then when I realized, I guess that's pretty good, but I've been doing the protein shakes instead of actually fasting, but I got his permission with fasting. So, I mean, like, I've got some play and whatever, but I'm taking it day by day. I'm either not fasting or, I'm giving myself protein instead of fasting, but, I'm doing things, but I'm taking every day, and every hour by every hour or whatever. And so it is just taking action and doing whatever. And I'm inspired by my daughter and whatever. And, it's just every day going, moving the needle, and that's all you can do, and that's
Lynn, that's fantastic. I'm proud of you. You're doing great.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
I
And
think the biggest
Scott.
part of this whole thing is like Barry said, you just got to start. You got to do something, and again, we talk about it a lot. It doesn't have to be any grandiose anything, right? It could be contacting, I don't want to steal John's 6 calls and, talking to, but it's the, if you, I find when I get up in the morning, there are some days I have zero desire to go to the gym, but I get dressed and I walk out the door, and most of the drive there, I'm going, boy, I would rather drink this cup of coffee than walk into the gym. But by the time I get there and I actually walk in, well, now I'm there. Mm-hmm. Well, hell, I'm here. I might as well do right. And then all of a sudden you get yourself going. So, I mean, it's really about taking and just creating movement, so it's the same thing. What are you waiting for? Whether if it's in a relationship kind of situation, or you haven't talked to somebody for a period of time, what are you waiting for? Call them, well, but they might not answer, but they might, and all those kinds of things, I want to be kinder. Great. Be kinder, smile at people, do something nice for somebody, help somebody out. A woman in line today, I don't know what her groceries were, but it was something and 18 cents. And the woman said, do you have 18 cents? And I said, I do. Instead of having her dig through everything to find 18 cents, it's like, do something, right? It's not a grandiose, that you have to make these massive changes. But what you start to find is when you do things consistently enough, that becomes your new daily success habit.
Now, Scott, that's almost something that you have to experience to really feel it. Because, I mean, if I go out and buy the Nikes, I'm thinking I'm going to run a marathon. But it doesn't. But tomorrow morning, I'm not going to run 26 miles. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up. I'm going to run probably, 1,000 yards and start huffing and puffing. And then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But changing that mindset is a very difficult thing, because we all do want to have the prize. When we want to lose weight, it's like, it's going to take that long to lose the weight. Yeah. I'm no longer looking at going to the gym tomorrow. I'm thinking about the year that it's going to take me to do what I got to do.
Well,
changing that mindset is a very difficult thing, isn't it, Scott?
Well, it's still a day at a time. My son, my son had texted me the other day and said, what are you up to? And I kind of told him, I said, what are you doing? He said, well, we kind of hung out and recovered from the marathon we ran this weekend and everything. And so just kind of chilling and hanging out. He said, what'd you do? And I said, well, gosh, you just reminded me the last time I did a marathon, the car just about ran out of gas. It's like, the point is just have fun with people, do different things, whatever. And yes, but part of that is the feeling. Okay. So I just said something that was goofy and you guys laughed. That's the feeling, right? That it's like, wow, something so simple as saying something goofy could bring some joy to somebody, or that they laughed about it, or they do. So again, a lot of this stuff is, you can set out a plan, and there are specific temperaments and specific types that need to have everything planned before they go execute, or you can just move. You can just go do something. And as you do something, you gain all those experiences, and those experiences, if you're observant through those experiences, what did you learn from doing it? And all the different stuff. There's Peggy flipped on this show Road Rage the other day. People do some of the dumbest stuff. I'm gonna. This 18-wheeler cuts off this car, and the car goes, well, I'm gonna get past him. So the guy goes to do it. The 18-wheeler snaps, and all of a sudden the 18-wheeler flips over on its side, rolls, and does everything. Yeah, that worth it. Boy, that was. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, just do things that contribute to the positive nature of whatever it is you're involved in, and that goes across all things. It doesn't have to always be big. In fact, typically more small things are a whole lot better.
Well,
that's a really good point.
Basically, I was going to say, well, that's the thing, right? Documentation of what you did when looking back to anything you did brings you to the fact that whether you should repeat that. So like anytime back when I was doing bodybuilding, or anytime that I would be working out, when I could work out before things got worse with my, arthritis or whatever, I always took pictures, and I always, logged my, how much I was lifting weights and what I was doing, and then like now I can go back and still look, boy, I weighed that. I could tell you what I weighed and what I was doing and blah, 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 for measurements. Well, obviously, if you're not doing it and you got out of the regimen, you gain the weight, you either desire to go get back into a pattern to get back to where you were, or you don't do it. You either have the desire to get the results or you don't. So just like you were saying, it's just, you're either gonna know from the mindset of if you desire those results, and then you go back and look at what you had, and either you repeat it or you don't, or you go find another way of doing things. So it's just a matter of that either inspires you, motivates you, or nothing else will. So, that's just
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's also funny, if I have an expectation of the reward that I'm going to get from doing something or achieving something, like I had this thing about, I was up for this radio award for when I used to do radio in drive time, and I got the award, and I thought the whole thing was going to be the big accolades and all that stuff. And you know what? That was cool, and it was great. It was good to get my little trophy. It was good to get all that stuff. But when I came home, my son gave me a smile because he saw me with this trophy, and he was proud of his father. And I spent many years not being a father to be proud of, but this was when I was doing better. And I realized, wow, all the things I thought were going to be the real rewards, the real reward was this little smile, this moment I had with my son. And I think that's why I'm saying we really need to pay attention, because it's the little rewards that we get along the way that really are what makes life great. The big stuff at the end, I mean, if that's all we're counting on, we're going to be waiting a long time. And if we stretch that time out, we're never getting anything. It's got to be about the journey. Rex said it, Scott, you said it, Barry, you said it. We've all said it. John, what do you think, brother?
It is one of those things. It's those little simply daily reminders to strangers. We've talked about it before. Where is that stranger going to take that daily reminder? They're going to go home and go, honey, some dude I just met said I look good, honey. It's just a little pat on the back that I don't think enough people do. And it really comes back to, again, what we've talked about before. It's back to the basics. Make people feel good about themselves, whether you're married to them, they're your kids, someone you meet on the street, someone you see in the supermarket. A little compliment goes a long way, and the reason is nobody does it. And if you do that to that person, and that person was like, that's pretty cool, I'm going to try that. It's like a domino effect. It's simple to start, and you just might want to make sure everyone continues it. And
I want to add what he said there. Why do people not say what John said to somebody and then find out tomorrow they passed away, and then you're at their funeral saying, I wish I told them what John just said. So I just want to add that.
There's always opportunity to regret. I wish I had done this, or wish I had done that. But,
or said that. Or this.
But to have those moments where it was so clearly easy, if we would just open ourselves up to tell people how we feel, or to just try something different. You go out to a restaurant. If you love steak and you eat steak every freaking time, you might never find out how good tilapia is. Try different things. Take some chances and explore. You just might find out that lobster's fantastic and beets should be eradicated from the earth. They're horrible and all.
I like beets.
Beets are terrible.
Like the earth.
You gotta roast them. You gotta roast them and have fun with them. You gotta really cook them right. That's the thing. Pizza
Roast them. I eat them fresh.
Roast them and have fun with them.
Roast.
as in cooking fun, having fun cooking with them. I don't mean something else. Your mind's going somewhere else.
Fresh.
No, I was just wondering if that was the title of your next book. So
Having fun with
No,
beans.
But something you're talking about though, because Lynn, you said about, and Scott, you said the same thing, and so did John, about, you know, not waiting to say that you care about somebody. Here's the flip side of that: not waiting to do the healing work so you can be free to love again. I talk about this on my broadcast a lot, when I'm in my podcast as well. Is that I am so aware of people who carry on grudges, upsets, wounds, shame, guilt, resentment. They never do anything about it, and that's like carrying around extra 50 pounds of weight on your back.
Yeah.
Sometimes literally, because your body stores the message. I'm sure your body keeps the score. Excuse me, that's the book title.
Yeah. Right.
So the idea being is that if we are really wanting to do something for ourselves, for our lives, if we just did that much work, which is all internal, doesn't require anybody else, that maybe a guide or a coach or a therapist, but doing that work will change your life, because how you see the world will transform. And when you discover that all the stuff you're carrying doesn't have to be on your shoulders, you'll feel so much lighter, and you'll probably end up having a lot more life ahead of you. So don't wait to do that.
Absolutely. You know, and we see that a lot with people with trauma in their past, or troubles, or any kind of issues that they're carrying around. The longer you keep shoving them down inside and you don't deal with them, the deeper they become enrooted in a part of your core. And so it's almost like, you know, you're working with a rotten inside. And what are you waiting for to share things with people? What are you waiting for to heal yourself, to take care of yourself? I mean, Scott, I mean, it's as simple as this. You had bad hips.
Well, it's
you
funny.
could have just skipped it, right?
Well, what's really interesting is after my daughter said, you know what I've really noticed is how much joy you and Peggy have together today, and that you're back just really enjoying life. And so I literally was just reflecting on that statement going, man, all this stuff, I know why I waited to get it done. There were all sorts of different reasons, quote unquote, right? But had I known that I could have more joy, that I could be back, you know, we're sitting talking about my daughter going, hey, Dad, I played golf the other day. Why don't you and I go play golf? I mean, I can't tell you all the time she was growing up how much I wanted her to want to do that, right? And she said, there's this 9-hole course and it's not long and it's crazy and we could just go have fun. I'm like, I'm in, right? And so you start to go, but I couldn't do that prior to I couldn't do a lot of things prior to the hip replacement. So again, I was reflecting on the and I talk a lot about this in sales training and presentation, putting people in the after state, that they're already experiencing the benefits of whatever action they've taken, right? Well, that put me in the after state of being in joy, sitting there all Sunday afternoon, watching our dogs be silly as hell in the backyard. You know, they run 200 miles an hour for about 14 seconds and then they lay down for 20 minutes and then they get back up and they do it again. And it was just a riot watching it all and just being in that environment. Beautiful day. I mean, crazy, stupid weather. It was 93 here yesterday.
Holy cow.
I mean, it's nuts, right? So it was being in beautiful weather, hanging outside, being with my wife and my daughter, telling silly story. My daughter going, Dad, close your ears. I'm going to say something to Peggy. I'm like, okay, I don't need to hear this. She said, I said, close your ears, you know, and just telling all sorts of different stories throughout the years. But again, all of a sudden I was in this after state. I was in a different place, you know, and going, wow, that's what would it have been like had I gotten there sooner? And I don't regret it or anything like that, but it's just like, now I want to step it up and enjoy it even more.
There you go.
Scott, you could probably speak to this. do you understand? I mean, did you know at the time that your physical discomfort was creating an emotional discomfort as well? Were you aware of the extent of that? Or is it afterwards when you get to say,
not even close. Not
No.
even close. And that's the part that you don't realize, whether you're hiding it from somebody else or you're toughing it out, or, I mean, it's funny because I think I told you guys for Christmas, my daughter got this, we're writing the story of my life, but every week I get a new question about my life. So then I answer it. Well, then they'll put it together and they'll create a book. She wanted a book of my life and all these different experiences. But this last week's question was, what's the one thing you remember your mom telling you when you were young?
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. Spit on it, rub it in, and get back in the game. You're okay. If the body part hasn't fallen off, you can still play. and so, but I mean, that's specifically the memory, right? But that's kind of where I was with my hips. It's like, well, I can still kind of function. I'm not totally, and you sit there and you go, why would you, what is there in the psyche that allows you to put up with that much pain, to go through all that different stuff, and to think it's okay?
Right.
It's not okay. Right. And so then you get it done, and all of a sudden you're doing things again, and, going to the gym virtually every day, and elliptical trainers and bikes and doing things and walks with our dog and going, I missed all this stuff.
Yeah.
And why? And so then you start to think of the after state for others, and how you can use that to encourage others to, hey, keep moving, go do something. Doesn't have to be big. I go to the gym now and I watch people lifting and doing all these sets and ripping it, and like, yeah, have fun. It's not going to be me. I'm not going there. I did that one time in my life. I'm not doing it now,
Right.
but I have fun watching you guys do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but again, I'm doing something else. Right. And the encouragement would just be, go take an action, do something, get out in nature, do, volunteer on something, do this, do that. Talking to my son and his girlfriend, they do every Sunday, in Austin, they assimilate all week long. They assimilate all the produce that's not saleable at the stores in Austin, and they take it and they distribute it all day Sunday.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Nice.
And they're like, it was just a great day, similar to what Barry's doing in LA.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. But you just hear that, and I just go, that is so awesome that they're so committed to that.
Yeah.
Scott, your story really demonstrates that not only are you kind of missing out yourself if you're not doing things now or taking advantage, not only are you missing out, but you actually might be hurting the other things in your life. You might actually be dulling your experiences in all the other areas because of pain, discomfort, fear, regret. All those things pull us away from really experiencing our life, and especially with the kids and with family or with anything. Listen, when the sky's cleared up a little bit, the grass is greener and it smells nicer and everything's better. And it's amazing when we look back and say, if I had only done that back then, look at all the stuff I missed out on.
That doesn't do that part. The looking back and going, I wish I would have. That doesn't do you any good.
No, but it's just a good reminder that if I had made changes, I might have done other things. So I don't want to do that again. Right.
Well, but I think the thing is, I am so grateful for, this is a Bob Proctor. I am so happy and grateful now that. Dot. Right. I am so happy and grateful now that I had that procedure done, or that I did these things, or that we sat outside Sunday, or that, right. And I think it's the kick it in the butt from this point forward.
Yeah.
That's actually probably more
than taking away from the regrets.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to pull you into the woulda, coulda, shouldas.
Right.
And
That's why you're looking forward, looking backwards.
Right.
That's the choice,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
just talking about creating experiential evidence. I've got experiential evidence that if I don't do what I know would be good for me, I could suffer consequences in a lot of areas. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about looking back with regret.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. But again, there's lessons learned, and
Sure.
you know, I mean, I had people, you know, who had knees and hips and other things replaced sooner than I did, and going, God, it was the best thing. I should never have waited.
Mhm.
But it didn't expedite anything. I heard what they were saying. I saw that they were doing more. It still took. You still got to, you got to go. Hey, it's time for you to do something about it.
It's still about us. Barry, what do you want to add? You were trying to get some things in there.
Well, just something you said, Scott, about how they make a big difference what they're doing in Austin with collecting that food and giving it out. The thing I know that they're doing, because I know what I'm doing for myself, is it's selfish. Because the feeling we get, because when I do this work on Saturdays, 200 families get fed. I feel so proud of what we did as a group. I didn't get anything physical from it at all. But there's such a sense of joy and of celebration, which is one of the things about, what are you waiting for, is when you do certain things, it's not about the doing of it, it's how you feel about what you're doing. And so my joy on Saturday afternoons when I get back in, I'm exhausted and my arms may hurt from lifting all the boxes and stuff. But it's just such a great feeling. So I know what they're doing in Austin is selfish in that way because they're enjoying what they're doing. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but the end result is so uplifting.
Gratifying.
And I think that's why I love doing this stuff too. And so one of the things about what are you waiting for is oftentimes we put things off because we're afraid of what it may turn out rather than how good could it be? Because that's the other part too. We can switch our gears about what our focus is going to be when we're moving forward. And oftentimes what we do, because we're wired that way, is look for the worst case scenario. Like, oh, how bad could it be when it does that? It's like, I don't want to do that because it's going to be horrible and it's going to be this and the other. But when you get to the other side and discover 90% of the time, it's way better than you could have expected. That's where the fun is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. John, what do you think, man?
Kind of like summing up pretty much, fun is key. And it's going back to starting your day and having fun. And, you hear all these things from Christopher Rausch this morning, again, to Ryan Serhant this afternoon, to you guys now. I know I repeated it. But the thing was, before you open your eyes in the morning, start your day. You're going to have a positive day. You're going to do it. If before you open up your eyes, you're like, oh, traffic sucks, things are bad, it's all mindset. And I didn't get into it, and then now I got into it. Man, it makes such a difference. But the thing is, like everything else, you got to have patience. If you start it Wednesday morning, it's not going to happen Wednesday afternoon. It's like anything else. 6 weeks is a habit. So you start that little by little, and all of a sudden you get that positive attitude, and we chirp into what we're doing here. It's really cool when it starts working. And when you can see it working and see what you've done for other people and take no credit for it. You kind of see that tornado you started spinning and back off and look and see what happens.
Listen, responsibility and liability tells us that we must share with you that we are definitely encouraging you to open your eyes before you step into traffic. Just want to make sure you guys all understood that.
Get out of bed, not into traffic.
But yeah, thanks, John. As always, man. You got such a great spirit about you, and we appreciate you, brother. And love the new lighting, man. It's working. It's working for you.
Next week,
you look.
I'm gonna be in a different room next week, and we're gonna see what happens.
I love it. You want to start wrapping it up, Scott?
Yeah. Let's do a wrap up. Certainly I appreciate everybody sharing what you could. This is the kind of topic you can go on for a long time because there's all sorts of things that we can be doing. And when I say doing something, I'm not saying that you got to go out there and build a house tomorrow, or you got to go out there and do this or paint the Mona Lisa or do. Sometimes it's just grabbing a book off a shelf, the book that you've been looking at, and you kept saying, I'm going to read that, taking a few minutes and sitting down and reading a chapter or two. Making a phone call to a friend. It could be anything, but when things, just don't put things off. One of the worst things is when you think of something and you're like, I really want to do that. And then a week later, you're like, what did I want to do? And you can't even remember. It's almost like that's an opportunity that was there and now it's gone. So there's a lot to be done. Change your perspective, little bits at a time, just as long as you're moving. If you're moving, you're living. Barry, why don't you take us out with your thoughts, and then we'll go to Scott and John.
Okay. Actually, something you just said there about reminders. I was watching a video yesterday. This guy who does a lot of iPhone tips and things, and he recommended an app which I've got downloaded, which I'm going to start using, which is and basically it's a way of keeping reminders. Because I had this thing where I'm out hiking every morning, and even though I've got my phone in my pocket, I'll think of something and I'll move on. I'll be hiking down the trail and I'll look at what's in front of me. And by the time I got down to the bottom of the hill, I forgot what it is that I was going to make a note of. So having one thing that you can do, anybody can do if you've got a phone on you, just basically do an audio message to yourself. Like either email it or just save it to an audio file. Because oftentimes I don't want to have time to stop and write something because I'm either driving or hiking. If I just say, I just start recording a note to remind myself of something, that's an easy way to keep track of what I want to do. So if it's writing a book or making a lot of errands or just someone I want to call, if I don't get reception, I can leave a message for myself like, oh yeah, I need to call so-and-so at night, later on this morning because I remember about it's their birthday or something else. So we can do things to make our lives easier by making notes. Yes, if you're old-fashioned, make it, post-it notes work fine too. But it's the thing that we sometimes forget to even take the first step. Like again, first step of 1,000 miles, making post-it notes or writing down what you want to do or recording a message to yourself. There's so many things we can do that don't cost any effort on our part, except to say, you know what, I'm going to capture that thought so I don't forget it. So taking steps towards your goals can be as simple as that. Yeah, getting the book off the shelf. Things that are right in front of us. Do something.
I love that.
Absolutely. Hey, John, what do you think?
And you know what? I think I said Scott. It's Christopher Roush from this morning. I mean,
Awesome.
And Sandra Horton, I love your name. I'm sorry our marriage didn't work out, but that's a whole topic.
She's in Canada.
Checks in the mail. And kind of what Barry said, there were a few friends of mine, and it's one of those things where if you think about texting someone, do it. There was some things, not to bring it on a down note, but there was something where a friend of mine went to text his friend. 2 days later, the guy died in a plane crash. And he was kicking himself. Why didn't he do it? He had time to do it. You can voice text. You can do it. So the voice notes are amazing. But, man, if you're thinking of someone, send them a note. And out of the blue, why are you thinking of me? I'm just thinking of you. Just want to say hi. Have a great day. Again, 10, 15 times in the morning. You never know what effect you're going to have on someone. You never know what a simple message could do to change someone's trajectory for that day, which what's that going to do? Change someone else's, like you guys do to me every Tuesday. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And again, for liability purposes, we must say we are not saying from this show that John was married to any of our listeners.
Yeah, especially in another country. She had to flee the country. No, just kidding.
Scott, I got to tell you that some of my greatest memories of my grandfather were he and I on a golf course. And the fact that he has passed on, quite a while back. But I still have those memories, and I have the memories of having that one putt where I might beat him, but somehow I just never made that putt. I never could. But the time we spent was so beautiful. For you and your daughter to be able to share time like that, wow, that's incredible. So God bless you for that, man. That's great.
It was exceptional. I even, as I started the work week yesterday, working with a client, we're kind of recapping or where are we going this week? What are the things that I need to do? And here's what's on my tick list. And I said, before I continue this, I got to tell you about yesterday. I said, it was just one of the most special experiences that I've ever had. And we, it was just so cool to stop, because he is, he knows nothing about that. Right. And he's an older parent, and he's got a 3-year-old. And he goes, really, how old's your daughter? I said, 35. and I said, which is weird because I'm 29. So that's really awkward.
Yeah,
right?
really
But the, but to have the varying conversations that we had, and then my son's down in Austin, and we talked about what he's got, and his girlfriend or his significant other now has a 6-year-old little boy, and we were talking about he never knew what it was like, so he's kind of all of a sudden he's dad.
Oh,
And but we were talking about, I said, he texted me one day and he said, Dad, thanks for all our talks. Now I get it.
oh,
So geez, it was one of those where you sit there and you go, why wouldn't you want this?
Right.
Right? Why wouldn't you want that experience? And it didn't take much other than to say, hey, come over. And Peggy and I are hanging out. It's wine o'clock, and we're drinking a little wine out on the patio and just chilling and watching Wilson play in the new sod in the backyard, and bring Kilo over and let's introduce him. So that it didn't. Things don't have to be so planned out and so rigid and so this and so that, right? Just let it flow.
Yeah.
But by the time it was all done, we were, like I said, we laughed all day, and just about silly stuff, and then it carries into, the work week starts, and it's like, let's go here. And I went to the gym, and the guy said, did I see you yesterday? And I said, no, I took a day. And he goes, well, I missed your smiling face. And that's the way he, greeted me as I came in. And so we're not the only people who do this, people. These are little actions, little statements, little things that can mean so much. And my daughter goes, Dad, Taylor, my son, he is all your heart. He is the most empathetic person on the planet. She goes, I thought you were, but you gave that to Taylor. Now, all your athleticism, you gave that to me. So we are perfectly you. It's just I'm one half of you and he's the other half. It's like, okay, done. Mic drop. What more do you need than that? Right? And so I would wish that for everybody too. And it was not always like that. There were some tough times. And my daughter even said, I might have been a little tough for a while, so even having those conversations, saying, it was what it was at that time. That's okay. We made it through all that. Right.
Wow.
And so I think that's, somebody said, how do you know? Hey, you've been through everything successfully at this point. I said that to you, Scott, when you were saying that about, when you told us a couple of weeks ago, and I texted you and I said, you've been through everything you've been through and you're still here. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
These are tests. These are different things that we go up against, but they become our testimonies. Our messes become our messages. We get out there and we can serve more people because we have greater experience. The only thing you have to do is have some want to, that you want to share this stuff. You want to be vulnerable. You want to open yourself up. You want to, I got friends that they create an over and under of when I'm going to cry on stage, because the emotion will hit me at some time, typically. It's not planned. It just does, but it's okay. So it's okay for everybody that's listening as well.
It's a testament to who you are, that you can share your emotions with us. And we appreciate, what you shared today. It really touched me. I know it touched all of us and our listeners as well. Thanks, Scott. You're certainly a blessed person.
I love you.
Tremendously blessed. Thank you, Lynn. Love you too.
Yeah, I love you. I appreciate you guys all. We're almost running out of time here. If we want to have these replays, we got to get out of here.
We're going to end on time. This is the first time we're going to end on time.
Yeah, if I want to have these as replays,
and
they got to end.
Not here.
I don't know. I don't know, but we got to end it on time for them to be replays.
Okay. So once again, remind everybody, please like the show, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends. And thank you, Barry, Scott, John, the beautiful Lynn Serrano. I'm Scott Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time on the Lynn and Scott and Friends Show.
Have a great
Love you
week,
guys. Bye.
See y'all.
Keeping me safe and sound.